Episode 3 of Doom Patrol is here, and honestly, it wasn't my favorite. Madame Rouge and Cyborg got some interesting story points in this episode, same with Rita, so I'm interested in seeing where those characters are going. However, this episode felt like it was more set up for character development than anything else. So before we get into it, welcome to NonStopAntonio, where I talk about everything nerdy. I love Marvel, DC, and anime, and if you do too, I hope you enjoy this video. So one of the big takes out of this episode is that Cyborg Vic is trying to relive his past. He's trying to reconnect with his friends that he left so long ago after his accident with his mom, and he's trying to get back the friends he once had. So really him trying to be both a hero and a civilian. However, that's not going to work, and he can't have both, especially because even in this episode you can really see the hostility with his friends because of how distant he's been with them. The whole time he's with them, they're kind of questioning why he got rid of his tech, you know, kind of throwing jabs that he's a superhero and then he doesn't really deal with normal stuff anymore. And like one of his friends keeps kind of hinting that he was a superhero, so he's not anymore because he doesn't have any of that tech, which I think is going to be a huge thing down in the future for Cyborg to give his tech back and fully be Cyborg again once it's all showing out of his synthetic skin. And while they're only hanging out, it seems like everyone's also pointing their comments to Vic, but Vic is not asking his friends like, how are you doing, what's been up? And he's still semi-distant from them because he hasn't seen them in so long, and he's kind of cast them out even though he still considers them his friends. And then when they're playing laser tag, they're having fun, but then the truth comes out. His best friend turns around to him and be like, we haven't heard from you in so many years. We tried to reach out, you ignored us. And Vic keeps trying to say that, hey, you know, my mom died, I was trying to figure out who I was, but his friends were trying to mourn with him, trying to help them because that's who they are. They're his friends, but he just left. Because of that, they lost the time they had to be friends, and they all grew and changed. They went through hardships in life, but they weren't together. And when you don't see your friends for a while, you grow apart. You don't know each other as well as you once did, and you miss out in key moments in their lives to make it so that you don't really know that person anymore. And that's where Vic is. He doesn't know his friends anymore. His friends don't know him. He wants to reconnect, but I don't think it's going to work the way he wants to because they're all such different people now. And he's more in the superhero community, and I think he's just going to have to go back to being his true hero self. And it's going to be a hard choice for him to make, picking the regular life that he thought he could get back, and then the weird life of being a hero. And then we got Rita in this episode, who has to deal with the fact that her friends betrayed her in a sense where they don't want her to be leader anymore. They picked a complete stranger that they barely know and they don't trust to be their leader. She's not happy about it. And then when she gets a notice about a show showing all her past films, of course she's gonna go because she feels like someone actually gives a shit about her and they like her performances, even though of course it ends up being a trap and she gets sucked into her own movies. Which and in turns, the movie is sucking her emotions out because Dr. Janice has trapped her there. And in the comics, Dr. Janice is a male, so in the show they gender bent her, but honestly, it's a character that literally appeared once in 1963, My Greatest Adventures number 81. She only ever showed up once, and her powers were hallucination casting powers, which, hey, it makes sense for what we saw today. Then we had another character who showed up with called Mr. 104, which is also another Doom Patrol villain from the comics, who first appeared in Doom Patrol issue number 98 in 1965. He has the powers of elements, so they kind of did that in the show where he set the fire ablaze in the pit, which is showing that he can control elements. And I love how this kind of gets set up where Madame Rouge feels bad and she wants Rita to trust her, so she gets the whole Doom Patrol together and brings them to the show so that they can support Rita and be a team again. However, that all goes south when they all get dragged in except Madame Rouge, who gets out of there last second. The Doom Patrol has to wander around in these films not knowing what the hell is going on, and I love how Jane and Cliff get scared over a creepy little kid but weren't scared over anything else. When they get to that final movie, I love how Cliff thinks it's Star Trek, but it's just one of Rita's big box office flops. And they all end up finding out the real reason they're there is to make it so Rita will lose all of her emotions. And when she finally does have to be the heroic person, none of them have their powers, and she goes to save the Doom Patrol from this fiery pit, she shows how much she really cares. She's not going to let anything happen to her one family, the only people that have ever been there for her. And I think that's really what's showing where she's going, is that even though she feels betrayed by them, they're still her family, and she still cares about them, and they're also the only people that care about her, even with her blob state at times. So she has to be there for them, and it's all coming around where only after a couple episodes, she knows who she is and who her family is. And even though that they pick Madame Rouge over her, They will always be there for her. However, now Rita's passed out because her emotions were sucked out of her, and she might be in a coma, I'm assuming. And it turns out Dr. Janice was working for IMMORTUS all along, because IMMORTUS will rise. It seems like every episode's gonna lead into IMMORTUS, because that seems to be the major villain this season. I'm still curious to find out more about this character and how they are being portrayed in Doom Patrol. But hey, we're only in episode 3 and we still got 7 left to go, I think, anyways. Let's talk about Madame Rouge as well in this episode, because she had a lot of thinking to do as well, because she starts off the episode with her trying to get the team to go see Rita because she wants Rita to trust her. And then when everything goes south, she gets the hell out of there and gets back to the house. But when she's there, she's drinking and she's kind of thinking about her past and what she's done. And she wants to be a better person. She wants to be someone that they can trust rather than being seen as a villain. Because she talks about how she doesn't think that she should be leading the Doom Patrol and that it should have stayed Rita because she had a half-assed victory against the bus. She made Cliff feel violent. She fucked over Rita for the leadership. She got Niles killed as well, which is another thing messing up the Doom Patrol. And then she made innocent people weapons when she worked for the ant farm. And those memories are still slowly coming back. And I'm curious to see what happens when she unlocks all her memories from her past. And even the little negative spirit was watching over the files after she left the room. So I'm curious to see why the negative spirit was looking over the weapon files. Was he trying to find out someone that he got told about in the future? Was the future negative spirit telling him about IMMORTUS? And is that what he's looking for in those files? And I like how the negative spirit goes and saves them in the end. And I'm curious if he killed 104 or if he just took control of 104 real quick to get the Doom Patrol out of the weird realm they were in. Overall, some interesting story points for our characters. And Madame Rouge wants to be a better person. Rita wants to accept her family and just wants to be with them rather than, arguing about being a leader anymore. She just wants to be with her family that she cares about, but now she's in a coma. Vic needs to learn how to deal with his life because he can't have both. He can't be a superhero and also have a normal life. He's one or the other because he'll have his superhero friends and he'll have his regular friends. So we'll see where this is going for all those characters in the future. And again, this episode wasn't huge and big, but it did have some interesting plot details for those characters. What do you think of this episode? Where do you think these characters are going? Let me know down in the comments. Hit that like button if you like content just like this, and hit the follow button for more because I will continue to follow this series as it keeps coming out. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you later.